You can't
still
be
do it.
serious,
And
man.
they
You
put
cannot be serious.
Don, because you've engaged so much with the 4-time or 3-time world aerobic champion and 1-time fitness champion that you've engaged absolutely magnificently with her, and you said that that's the first time I've ever been asked a question about how I...
Intellectual...
that's easy for you to say that word, Don. Say it. Intellectually. Yeah, so that's the first time you've been intellectually interviewed. Stimulated, yeah. Well,
glad I could stimulate you, Don.
Yeah. So here we go, Don. This gives you a chance to A, get some topics out, and B, for you to ask Sue a question about something, and she could ask you another question about how you've coped with life after football and the horses.
So, Sue, you didn't start off. This is a question to you, Sue.
Here we go, winding up.
Now, as I said to you, we bought aerobics down in the mid-70s at Vital.
Yeah.
Now, you didn't start off as a gym junkie. What were you when you did you just happen to, is it a byproduct, aerobics or whatever it was for you?
I was an Australian gymnast before aerobics and before I bought my health club when I was 19 and a half years of age. I bought a health club when I was 19 and a half. Yeah, so I was a gymnast. So.
Institute of Sport, did you tell him that?
Yeah, Australian Institute of Sport, first scholar. So remember when the AIS very, very, very first started, when they had no accommodation for athletes, nothing that was built up there. It was as raw as, so we were billeted out with another family. So I had another mum and dad and brother and a sister up there.
What age were you when you went up there?
14 and a half.
How did you find it?
It was pretty tough. Because you couldn't, what did they say, that you weren't allowed, parents weren't allowed to come up to see you because that'd be mentally disturbing, you know. That would disrupt our training.
Okay.
For how long, Sue?
For how long?
18 months, 2 years, yeah.
You didn't see your parents for 18 months?
No, they were allowed to do the reverse call, you know, because obviously the calls in those days, so they called, but they weren't allowed to come up and visit us. So
this is a little bit like Russia, or what we read about Russia.
It was strict. It was sort of.
It's called discipline.
No, it's
they
not
were finding
discipline.
the rules.
I think that is bad.
They don't want any unwarranted interruptions.
Just shut up, because this is very formative years for a teenager at 14.
Yeah, but I had great billets, so they were really, really good. So they obviously put us with a great family. But then when we came down to our state championships, you know, like in Victoria, you think you'd be able to stay at your families, but we all had to stay at a hotel so that we were a team.
Did they have an effect upon you growing up?
I don't have any twitches or anything happening.
Now,
it's tough.
Now that was a bit of a halcyon time for Australian sport when that Institute of Sport started up. It's now not what it used to be, and our performances have dropped off internationally and in a lot of different areas. Am I right or incorrect?
Well, the Australian Institute of Sport was one area in Canberra, so then all athletes came to that one area. That's a slab. Isn't it? A slab of beer when you did, each one of us.
It will
so
be.
Everyone would come. So then when you had young athletes and people disturbing, you had to sort of leave your facilities or your hometown, relocate, go to school, university, get a job. So then they formed the satellite city. So it was like the VIS, the New South Wales VIS, AIS, and so they had states so that people didn't have to relocate. So they had a Victorian Institute of Sport, which is down here in Melbourne. So then it's now satellites, which is good. It's some great, and then people still go to the AIS maybe for camps and things like that they do. So it's changed, and obviously.
What about Australia's performance internationally in those various sports? Was it at its peak back then, or are we still up there, do you think, internationally?
I think the development over the years of the Australian Institute of Sport going into the satellites, I think the sports have developed a lot because there's been a lot of money thrown at them. And you look at Australia as such a small country, we do really well in the international stats in a lot of sports, don't we? I
mean, our population.
For our population. Yeah. So I think we're doing pretty good.
It amazes me with these, you being a young gymnast, it's pretty rigorous for a young kid to get involved in it. It's nearly 5 days a week, isn't it, as a 6-year-old or a 7-year-old?
We were doing 35 hours a week.
As a what?
As a 14-and-a-half-year-old.
What about as a 7-year-old? They start at that age.
Oh, I didn't. I did dance and gymnastics. I did dance and ballet. Yeah. Okay. So I transitioned when I was 11.
So why did you get out of it?
Because I looked shocking at it. Out of gymnastics?
Yes.
Probably injury. Yeah. Had some stress fractures in the lower back and thought time was enough. So
you weren't too big as an athlete.
I was solid. I was.
What about height wise?
Well, I'm only 154.5 centimetres.
What's that in? Oh, no, I can't.
5 foot and nearly 1.
Oh,
So unless I got the 5 foot, my dad said I was going to be a jockey.
really?
Yeah. So I was pretty happy I made it.
Not a sportsman. Not a sports
No,
person.
not a-
Jockeys.
You
not
would have had to
sport.
put up with the 36-degree heat at Stony Creek yesterday if you're a jockey.
Oh, no. Oh, that would have been bad. But then I went to the Olympics in water skiing.
What?
Yeah, Seoul
Olympics
1988.
in water skiing?
Yeah, it was a demonstration
I
sport.
was just going to say, it's not a normal... Where was that at?
In Seoul, Korea. So 1988. So we did so you know in Mubu where you have the skiers and they have the show teams in it?
my word.
Yeah, and then they have the tournament skiing, so the show skiing and tournament skiing with
Yes,
the jump,
I
kick
know.
and
I
slalom.
used to watch all... Yeah.
Yeah. So you know those three, you know the pyramid, and they have three
Yes,
skiers, two and one up the
yep,
top.
yep.
So I was the one up the top over
Are
there.
you from Bendigo?
No, I'm from Melbourne, but I was actually Lake Mulwala. So I was from Mulwala Water Ski Club, where Max Kerwin
Yep.
was the president,
Yep.
and Max Kerwin was the president of the international.
And he was a car
water
dealer,
skiing.
Mazda dealer out
He
in
was.
Preston.
There you go.
And Rosemary Margan was a water skier from Bendigo, and she
Amazing.
made it on television.
Yeah, well, there you go.
There
See?
you go. So,
So,
I made it on
Sue,
TV.
what's the Olympic Village like? So,
Oh, it's fun, yeah. And
Yeah.
I was up Yarrawonga just recently with a girlfriend of mine, Jackie Cooch, who was in the water skiing with me in 1988 as well. She had all these photos which I didn't have, and I'm disappointing I haven't taken them, but I've got the album at home, and it was on the village and things like that. So we were running amok. It was just best
crazy.
time. It was crazy.
where do they water ski? America and Australia, or anywhere else in the
Everywhere
world?
around the world.
Really?
Yeah, China, everywhere around the world.
Oh, I thought it was just
Pretty big.
popular in Australia and
Yeah,
America.
no, it's pretty good.
No, keep going, Don. You're on a roll. Go on, more.
Well, you're
He's
just not
talkative, isn't
controlling
he?
the situation. You feel really out of it.
Not at all, Don. I'm
No, you
delighted
do.
that you've taken
I
over.
do.
Topics, go on.
Tell me about the boat, Sue. Does he entertain the guests when he goes
Back
out?
to me. Don, do some topics so we don't... come on, bring some of your topics up.
yep. Where's the crickets?
Oh, jeez. This never happened when Rudol was looking
Come
after
on.
that.
Topics have you got? You said you had 100 of them.
What's your topics, Don? Come on.
There you are.
He's been scammed, hasn't he?
Oh, aren't those emails? Those emails are
The text.
shocking, and the text messages that are coming through. Have you been scammed?
Yeah, that's one of my topics.
Oh, is it?
I got one from Amazon the other week.
Did you?
And
From
I
the
shit-
Amazon?
Amazon had said, so
Oh,
I shit
from-
myself, we're going to take money out of your account if you don't reply to this text.
And you have an Amazon account?
No. And
Well,
so
that's
I
the
went to
first
the
red
bank
flag.
and they told me, no, just disregard, that's a scam.
Oh, really? And you
And,
didn't have
and
an
another
Amazon
friend
account?
of ours, acquaintance of ours, Melburnian, former football coach, got scammed $2,500. He pressed onto Link, Link the freeway
toll.
people.
Yep.
He had an outstanding invoice of $2,500. Without thinking, is it a link?
Yeah.
And you press onto that
Yep.
link, and he was done for $2,500.
Serious?
Yeah.
A little bit of a trick, when you actually open the email, don't click on anything in the body, but up on the top letter where it says linked, if you just click on that where it says what the URL of where it comes from, click on that and it will say ABC at informedmedia.co or something like that, and that way you know it's a scam because it doesn't come from linked.
I can't
No,
work the
you've lost
computer,
him,
Sue.
Sue.
You've lost me, kid. I
Very
can't work,
easy, yeah.
I
I'll
can't
show
work
you.
the computer.
I'll show you because it's very easy not to get scammed because my mum and dad do exactly the same. So don't click on anything. If you want to do it,
So
just click on the URL.
That's one of your topics linked, Don, is it? So go on. What happened
Well,
then?
why can't we? Aren't we protected in this world with regard to scammers or this computer?
What do you reckon?
Well, why aren't the authorities out there doing something about it?
Well,
Isn't
they
there
are.
some what?
Well, they're trying to, but the hackers are a step ahead of everyone, Don.
It's like
Go
dogs
on.
in
Now,
fork.
cross that off. What's your next topic?
What's on the list, Don?
What's on the list, Don?
It'll be the
Come
train
on.
to Mount
Hang
Gambier.
on. Yeah, no, hang on. It'll be horse riding
4 years
or
ago,
Hawthorn Football Club.
4 years ago, when we started this podcast, the topic of conversation and the controversy which was out and about was the scandalous behaviour of the Casey Council in approving various developments that were going out there. A former teammate of mine was involved because he was mayor of Casey at the time. And we haven't heard anything about this, but towards the end of the that saga, one Daniel Andrews was mentioned because the developer apparently had lunch with him.
Any idea
Do
what
you
he's talking
think?
about?
Do you
None.
think that the state government have just
What was the controversy about the Casey Council?
the approval of various developments?
Thank
They're
you.
Paying under the lap to get these things approved or
Thank you.
passed
Well,
through.
that gives it
Well, if you
relevance
knew
now to
about-
what you're
if you were
talking about.
across- Anyway, what has happened? Is it because the Premier's name was mentioned having lunch with the developer that this has just been put on the back burner?
Swept.
4 years ago.
So
And still swept under the counter.
Well, we don't know. What's going on with it? I mean, the mayor, who was another mayor who fled overseas when this controversy happened, has returned to Australia. He's here, so they can go ahead and prosecute. Why aren't they prosecuting? Maybe the Premier's mixed up in it somewhere.
Oh.
Ooh.
You're not saying that there's been corruption and dishonesty in
I
the
don't know.
government,
I'm
are
asking
you?
a question. All you can do is
We must get on to
conspiracy
Ian
theory.
Cook and ask him how that's going. How is that going? Hope he doesn't, if he's got the stamina, hope he continues with all that. Eventually he will be...
Well, I think he was right, and I had a conversation with a Victorian judge.
You did?
And
Who?
a lot of these legal people now, and I know a few friends in it, are really rusted on Labor.
Yeah, left wing. That's right.
No, but hang on. These are political appointments.
That's
People
right.
who are in positions of power like this should be. It shouldn't be a political appointment. The Liberals are guilty of it, and Labor. And what Ian Cook said was he's going to go to the Supreme Court. It'll get knocked back there because of. Then he'll appeal in Victoria, get knocked back, and he may have some sense, or may get justice if he goes to the High Court of Australia.
Or goes to goes over to Britain and goes to the High Court of
Can you go that high?
what do we call the Westminster system? Not
We're under
not-
the Westminster system.
Yes, not Westminster system. He might take it to the High Court of Britain, seeing as we're aren't we a
Can you
territory?
appeal?
Yeah, we're a territory of Britain, aren't we still?
Colony.
Colony is the word, Ivan. As that, so well done, Don. Topic. You did that. You did the
Oh, now the other thing.
Did the
is-
Casey
scam.
Council. You did the
What
scam.
shits me? We should have a column. What shits me? Or
We'd clean that up a bit, Don. What bugs me, and then you can use the other term if you like, just in a side.
did
But
you
we
see?
won't have
Did
a.
you see the ads that have just appeared in the last week about bushfires on the television?
No.
How hypocritical are
What
those
are the
people?
ads?
Be prepared for bushfires. Make sure you got everything in place. Why haven't we been doing burn-offs and mosaic burning
Because there's
over
been
the
floods,
winter?
Don.
What?
There's been floods.
Mate, any idiot who lives in the country, and this is all done by people who live in the city, make rules for the people living in the country. They've got no practical ideas whatsoever, and the people in the country are neglected. And they've been crying out for ages about mosaic burning and planned burn-offs to get rid of the undergrowth. We are in for another bushfire
You've seen the ads
season.
they put on. They say when it rains, drive slower. They put those ads on. Why would you have to put an ad on to say to people to drive slower in the rain, Don? Have you seen those ads? Wipe off 5. Don't speed up over pedestrian crossings because if you drive at 5 kilometres or less, you won't run over someone. I would suggest that if you're driving at 5 kilometres less, the people should get out of the way if they're on the pedestrian crossing. We give far too much leniency to people walking across the road.
Do you look both ways when you cross across a zebra crossing?
People look at their phone and just walk onto it, hoping
No,
that
I
the
haven't
cars
asked
will
you a
stop.
question.
Do I look both ways?
Well, ask the
My
answer,
word, I do. My word, I do, Don.
You take ages to get across the pedestrian crossing with that ankle.
That's correct. That's why I look both ways, Don. I don't want to be run over by a B double. Any more topics, Don, before you've managed to go 14 minutes by carrying an interview with Sue and doing some inane topics that no one can understand? Give us your last
Why are you
one.
in here, Sue?
I just live across the road, so I just popped in.
Yeah, she came to...
That wasn't your red car that was
No, I
parked
just
out the
walked
front
up.
last week. You got a dirty notice from his lordship. That car hasn't come back.
Well, why would it?
Oh well, geez, I'd be shit frightened with what you wrote on. Put
Why
on the
did I write
windscreen.
on it?
Oh,
Now, what did I write in it,
Well,
Don?
it must
wasn't
have
a
been.
dirt.
Certainly frightened the person
Don,
off.
it wasn't a dirty note. What did it say?
Please do not.
Yeah, what did it say, Don? Don't say I wrote dirty notices on people's cars. I didn't. What I said, is there a reason why you've parked here?
That's
Of
a
course
question.
there is a reason.
What?
Of course there is a reason.
Well,
they
then
parked
it was rhetorical. That person has not parked here again. And we had that discussion about, would you park in someone's spot that had a name of a business on it, or would you park in their spot? Don?
Why didn't you?
Every decision, moment and encounter has shaped who I am today. Davida provides home care with respect for who I am, empowering me to live life with confidence, connection and choice.
For person-centred home care, start with a conversation. Contact Davida for a free, no-obligation care consultation. Search Davida today. That's DOVIDA.
Your life, your way.
Let the tyres down.
Well, that'd be a bit of overkill. I might have if they kept doing
Well, then
it.
they wouldn't move it.
Well done, Ivan. Yeah, I might. Or smash the... What about just get a hammer and smash the windows or
That's not
something?
been bad. I wouldn't put that past you.
Well, if they kept doing it, I might. Now, Don, any more topics before... You've got to be able to go more than 16 minutes. I've left you on your own here. Just shows you a ship without a rudder. Go on, give us some final topics so that you don't whinge when we get outside. You've done the Casey Council, which you spoke about 4 years ago.
I went for a trip around memory lane yesterday. I had to quote a job in Box Hill. That's where I grew up. I saw 2 Anglo-Saxon signs in Box Hill on the shops. I couldn't get over the high rise. I haven't been out there, as you realise, for years and years. Having grown up in Box Hill, how do they get through all those big high-rise buildings that are now in Box Hill? When I was growing up, the 2 biggest buildings in Box Hill was the Presbyterian Bluestone Church in Whitehorse Road and the Town Hall, which is up the other end. They were the 2 biggest buildings. Now they are just insignificant.
And the relevance of the Anglo-Saxon signs, what does that mean?
Well,
If it's inhabited by a community of, say...
Asian.
Well...
Multicultural.
Is it
Multicultural.
No,
Multicultural.
that's one culture, isn't it?
Multi.
How do you work multi?
Well, it's if it's inhabited
Multi is
by an
more than one,
eclectic bunch of people who are immigrants or who have settled here or might have been born here, and they're building buildings, that's fair enough that they have...
I've got no...
So
I'm
you
just
couldn't...
that it was ambitious middle class when I was growing up.
Yes.
Now
It's been taken over as a...
different
Changed.
to what
Now it's been
I grew up.
inhabited by
and the houses,
people of the same kind.
They do not show and haven't got the same community, I suppose, awareness or whatever, because it was very, as I said, ambitious middle class, and they looked after their homes, mowed the front lawn and the nature strip.
And your point,
now, the nature strips are up to your knees. They're not house conscious, house proud, or whatever else. The place has gone to rack and ruin, Box Hill.
Gone to the dogs, has it?
It has.
So this is where you used to frequent your own, where you originally grew up, Don, out in Box Hill, and you're disappointed that the nature strips aren't grown now, are you? Aren't mown. The nature strips are not mown.
No, community.
And there's
They
no
haven't
signs
got-
that you can read.
They're not community proud, John.
Right, Don? Well,
You don't have a business, do you, Don? Mowing lawns,
Yeah, well, that's
Well,
part of
there we
it.
go.
That's part of it.
drumming up business.
why
I'm
don't you
not
go
gonna-
out and leave some leaflets in front of these
Box Hill.
Anglo-Saxon
Perfect.
names that are not there, and say you could get someone to translate your name into Chinese, and you could say, I'm Don Scott and I can come out
Maybe
and mow
you
your
could
lawn.
just go out and hand out leaflets.
Hand them out.
Yeah, why wouldn't you?
Well, why don't you?
No, you. You could help.
Me? I'm not in the lawn mowing business, Don.
No, but you're...
Any other topics besides your Box Hill where you grew up?
But technically, Don, if they pay their rates, isn't it then the councils, the nature strip is the councils, isn't it?
And what they do, and the very... To this, hey, listen, there is a vacancy and we're getting some intelligent questions.
Do you know where the
here.
vacancy is?
No,
In
right
your-
here we need a third
The
person with a
vacancy is
brain.
in your
With a
cranium.
brain.
Yeah, well,
Sue, very good point. And what happens, Sue, is the council now fine them, or whatever, they come out and do the people will do the nature strip, because they can get fined. But the council have got no jurisdiction once they get into your front lawn. So they'll do their nature strip when they get a council notice, but leave the front lawn. So it's as high as your knees anyway. The nature strip's done, but not the lawn inside.
The lawn in the front.
Yeah.
And what about, have you ever had a warning over your bin that you didn't put the right things in your bin, or you left your bins out after a day or two?
No.
Oh, they're doing it down here at Docklands.
Docklands?
Yeah.
I live on the peninsula, and I think our recycle's going somewhere else. It's not going
Well,
where
everyone's
it's supposed to
recycle
go.
goes to everyone else. Yeah, they just dump it wherever.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, we get nothing. I get my bin picked up every 6 weeks for $3,770 a year.
That's pretty cheap.
That's
I'll do it.
about
I'll do it
$75
for
a week.
$1,500.
Okay, Don, this is going well. So we've got up to 20 minutes now. Any more topics? You've done the bins,
Have you got any topics, Sue? Because I don't
Box
mind talking
Hill, Casey.
Scams.
What's it? Scams linked. Yeah. Go on. These are good,
to you. Do you
Don.
follow sports still, Sue?
Always.
Okay.
Love sport.
What do
Okay.
you think about a week ago? I've got another conspiracy theory. Why did Phil Egan's suitability get questioned as the author of the report into Hawthorn's racial issues, which has now been forwarded to the AFL? Do you think the AFL, this is just purely speculation, conspiracy, tried to discredit him by bringing up something that happened? Or, I'm not saying, I don't understand why.
You
it's
think
only-
she'd know that, do you?
Well, I'm asking, she's across all sport.
Don't get me started on people thinking that going back with all these years ago and then trying to get out what happened those years ago. I'm so anti all that. Like, I think there should be a statutory declaration of so many years back that you can only go. So, and then everyone is just too scared to say the truth, realistically. So, and then what do they get? And if you do say the truth and it goes to the authority, what do they do about it? They don't. They'll turn around or they'll put it underneath the shelf, and then so what's the good of it's sad. It's
Well, they're trying to me, they're questioning his qualification or whatever else of something that is supposed to have happened back in 2010, 12 years ago.
too long ago,
Well, Don, well, look, hasn't it been fantastic that Sue's come in? She's got...
I said there is a vacancy.
there's,
The only trouble is you'll get weeded out here. You'll have to
I'll get what?
weeded out.
Weeded
because
out?
Your intellect will not be able to compete with hers, and I'm engaged with her intellect.
Yep.
And I'm sorry,
Well,
you'll be just the
I
third.
tell you
Three's
what,
crowd.
if
Two's
for
company,
no oth-
three's a
if
crowd.
for no other reason than it's been great she came in, she managed to ask you... I'm not doing the button yet. She managed to ask you questions that you've never been asked before. And, Don, it was refreshing that she found out that you struggled after you left football. You found horses. Did you find God? You're always on about God and blasphemy and all that sort of stuff.
That was ingrained into me, my grandmother, about blasphemy.
Yeah. Are you a follower
Of what?
of God?
A true believer.
What's a bullshit, Don?
Yeah. I can't get over through the Second World War how you'd have the bloody priest praying or the minister praying before you went into battle and you go and get shot. Wouldn't they stop the war? They're hypocrites.
That is the most...
And as the old
that
man
is the
said, the
most-
only decent religion was the salvos. They were up on the front line helping the soldiers.
That is the most naive thing I've ever heard anyone say, that the priests who pray before they go out to be shot, why couldn't the priest stop the war? Well, should have just rang up...
They had it on both
Should have
sides.
just rang up
Both
Hitler and
sides.
said, look, I'm praying for the blokes who are fighting you, Adolf. Would you mind stopping the war? Oh, yes, indeed. So the war's stopped. As of 4:30, we're stopping the war. Don, on that note, that ridiculous note of your logic and stupidity, yeah, I will do it. Thanks, Sue, for coming in.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.